Okay, since now we've had some time to kind of get familiar with what that front view looked like, kind of getting familiar with some of the terminology we're using, getting kind of familiar with just seeing and watching our own delivery and other pitchers' deliveries, seeing different checkpoints. So again, here we are from the side view now. We're going to be looking at, and we paused everyone at front foot strike. So once again, front foot strike is the moment in time that that front foot hits the ground. At front foot strike, we want to make sure that our back foot has driven our body forward, driven our back hip forward. How it's rotating that back hip forward. We have to do that by folding over the big toe, driving through the big toe, driving through the big toe. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that the heel doesn't just pop straight up, but it folds over. It folds over. It folds over. So that way the heel is in front of the toe. The heel is in front of the toe. We can also see that the glove is in that finishing or almost near finished position. We can also see that this throwing arm is in a 90-ish degree angle. In a 90-ish degree angle. We also have another 90-ish degree angle. 90-ish degree angle. And what we can see as we're rotating the upper body through and forward, this front knee locks out. The front knee locks out. The front knee over here on Evaldi is going to lock out. Lock out. Lock out. You see now this position, these two positions are very similar with how much of our upper body or our trunk, which is from our shoulders to our hips, this part of our body here, this whole upper part of our body here, we call our trunk, how much our trunk, when we landed, was relatively up and down. We have a little bit of forward tilt here already, mostly up and down here, but then how much we continue to tilt that body forward, and how that leg locking out helps that upper body get even more down and out and forward with that trunk. So we're throwing with our body more and not just the arm. So we look at the next two. We got Kershaw and Syndergaard here. Same thing. Back foot has turned over, driving through the big toe. Through the big toe. And when that foot hits the ground, gloves in its finishing position, 90-ish degree angle, 90-ish degree angle. We see the same thing over here. That back foot is driving into that foot strike position. Glove is in a finishing position, 90-ish degree angle with the arm and 90-ish degree angle with the armpit. And as throws, that leg's locking out. As Kershaw throws, the leg is locking out. When we go to our final two examples, we have obviously Greinke and Chapman now. We see the back foot has turned over, sending the back hip, which is back here, forward, by getting the back knee to turn over, by getting the back foot to turn and drive through the big toe, then land with our front foot. And a 90-ish degree. Glove is in its finishing position. So then as we throw, that front knee then just will lock out. Go over to Chapman. Watching that back foot drive through the big toe into the stride. Through the big toe into our stride. Through the big toe into our stride. Back knee driving all the way through rotation. Back knee driving in aggressively. Back hip driving and going forward. Then the foot hits the ground. Arm is in a 90-ish degree angle. Glove has begun its finish. So then now all it is locking that leg out as best you can. Getting it straight. So that way all of our power goes up through the arm into our upper body. So we're going to play each of you one at a time here and pause you at front foot strike. Boom. A little late. Boom. Right there. Boom. Maybe right there. Boom. And uh-oh, not that. Right there. Okay. So now here's you guys at your front foot strike positions. Okay, look at your back foot. Is the back foot turned over and driven through the big toe? Or is it just starting to do it? Or has it not even started to do it? Is our glove in a good finishing-ish position? Or has it already completely finished at this point in time? Or are we kind of just letting it hang off down by the side at this time? Or is it more working to get better, more towards our rib cage? More towards our rib cage once we continue to swivel through here, hopefully a little bit more. Towards our rib cage. We can also see a pretty aggressive tilt here already. This is going to be swiveling probably really good into your lower rib cage area, which is cool. All right, but then let's look at some other things that we saw in that video. Was we want to see like a 90-ish, 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 we can call it 90, 90-ish, 90-ish, something pretty big over here. Okay, and it's also, we can see how much those, it looks that way because how much your shoulders have rotated. If we get your shoulders to where it would be a better front foot strike position for your upper body, we can see we are in a 90, 90 with that arm. But we can just see how much that upper body rotates before that front foot finally gets in the ground to get us into that position. And then 90, 90, but again, another guy whose front shoulder we can see is really opening up here at front foot strike. Okay, so now that we kind of see what everyone looks like at front foot strike, I'll get two guys back up here. Boom. Actually, not even worry about that yet. And then okay. So these two guys, and now let's try to get just looking at the lower bodies and compare those. We're going to keep you down for now. All right, you three guys looking at these three right here. Just looking how much this back foot's turned over. All right, and if we look, we're close for wanting to, but your back foot won't do it for till there. Now it's really turned over. Now it's starting to turn over. Now shoelaces are starting to go towards the ground. Now shoelaces are starting to go towards the ground. Before they're just up over here going towards like third base dugout. We look over here. We can see foot's hitting the ground. Now the backside's doing what we want it to do. But it's too late. This front foot's already in the ground. We need to be doing this movement into our stride. Into our stride. Not foot then getting that rotation to occur. Because now we can see our hips are finally now rotated. More like these guys are rotated. But then we see how much your upper body has had to rotate to get there. So that's just a timing thing. Your body wants to do those movements. You're just not providing it enough time to do those movements. So then again, we can see we want to start to get over the big toe. But we can't. Why can't we? Well, look where this knee's at. And this is what we're going to talk about with these big leaguers here in a second once we get everyone up, is how are they able to drive our bodies out. But we see that your front foot hits the ground. Now your back foot is going to drive. Now your back foot is driving. Now your back foot looks like their back foots. Now your hips are finally turned. But again, now we see how much your upper body has had to turn during this time as well versus keeping the upper bodies back. So let's get you three guys up. Oh, darn it. It's okay. Boom and boom. Okay. Oh, wait. Were you just up? I can't remember who was up. Shoot. Yeah, we're good here. Okay. So taking a look at what we got here, seeing where you're at, comparing what we see down here. Okay, so we can see that this back foot is starting to want to turn, starting to want to go over the big toe, but it's going to come off the ground. Why is it coming off the ground? Because it can't go forward. Because why? Our body can't go forward. The brake's already down. Brakes are down because the foot's down. We have to be hitting the accelerator still, which means this foot can't be on the ground. Because if we want to go with this back leg, it needs to be able to go somewhere. And that means driving the body forward still, which means driving the body forward still, driving the body forward still, driving the whole body forward still, the whole body forward still, versus foot down. Now the body wants to go forward, but it's not actually going forward. It's just kind of rotating because the upper body is now also rotating. So we're missing out on the drive that comes before the rotation. And we just need more time to be able to do that. Foot hits the ground. Now we're trying to rotate. So we're just a little late. All right, we come over here. We can see turning over. Back foot's turning over. Back foot's turning over. But the front leg, and we saw this from the front view, isn't really rotating that front leg as well as we're rotating the back leg. We can also see that the upper body is rotating forward, rotating forward as that front foot's hitting the ground. We're opening our shoulders up, losing a bunch of our power, even though our back leg's doing a really good job of its movements and its rotation and extension and driving that back hip forward. Between the upper body being opened at front foot strike and your front knee being super closed at front foot strike, we lose a little bit of our power. We lose just a little bit of our power because of how the upper body is already starting to rotate early and the front leg is just a little bit inside of yourself. But we do a fantastic job of what? Like these guys are locking out. Locking out. We can see that locking out is done really well. It's done really well. We just need to make sure that when the knee lands, it lands more here, like we talked about in the front view, so it can lock out like it does really well more on time. Instead of hit, roll, lock out, it can hit, lock out. It can hit, lock out. Very close. Very, very close. But these little things now start to really add up to our ability to start gaining velocity and starting to be able to throw harder and harder and harder as we get stronger and stronger and stronger. So we see the back foot starting to, but the front foot hits before it can get that last little bit right there. That last little bit right there. We're just leaving a little bit of power on the table. And if we look, watch this back knee of yours and just how quickly that back knee is going in. How quickly their back knee is just folding inwards. Okay? That's what makes it a little bit more difficult for you to get this back foot turned all the way around right there on time. We're just a little bit late with our opportunity to create more power with that back leg in our lower body. And we're going to be able to achieve that by thinking about this back knee. All right, now that everyone's gotten to see their video compared to those two guys there, all right, we're going to get, let's use Max Scherzer, and did I exit out of mistakenly? Yeah. Let me get my, that's an alarm. Let me get my Chapman back up. Okay, it's Chap and Scherzer. And I just want you guys to watch the back knee, okay? Just watch the back knee in Scherzer's slide step, or abbreviated slide step. And just notice that how far this front leg is out in front of him, how much his delivery has proceeded, how long his delivery has been going on for, and this back knee is still trying to stay above this back foot, or stay back towards second base as much as it can. We'll let Chapman go through here his delivery a bit, and we'll get it to stop at about a similar position with front leg distance from back leg. And just look on how much this back knee has been just trying to stay there. During this whole time, that back knee is just fighting to stay back and not fall forward or inwards. Okay? They're doing that to, one, keep their weight back, because the more our weight stays back, the longer this front foot gets to stay off the ground. Because once our weight starts to go forward, that'll send the foot into the ground quicker. And for a lot of us, we just need more time for our back foot to do what it wants to do completely. Right now, some of us are only getting it 10%, some of us are getting 25%, some of us are getting 50%, some of us are 80%. We need to be able to get that back foot to turn over to our 100% capability. And most of us are going to be able to do that by having more time. So how do we get more time? We keep this back knee back. As the body goes out still, the body's still going out. We're just trying to keep that knee back until we can't keep it back no more, and then watch how fast this knee goes in. Oops, that's Scherzer, sorry. Boom. Even in slow motion, we can see how quickly and violently now, since the knee has been able to stay back, it can rotate very violently in. But if a knee was starting here and started its rotation from here, we're not going to get a whole lot. We're just going to get a little. But if we can start from back here, boom, we get so much more. And same thing with Scherzer. If we can keep this back knee back to here, when it's time to then rotate it, boom, look how much rotation we actually get out of that knee. That's all power. That's all rotational power. Boom. That gets sent to the front leg now. And as long as that knee doesn't wobble out and stay strong, boom, it can start to go up to the upper body because we lock that leg out, which lets our upper body go out in front with all that power. Boom. Out in front with all that power. Boom. So let's then look at back knees. Stand back, stand back, stand back, stand back till you can't. Then we rotate it. Back knee, stand back, stand back, stand back, stand back till we can't. Then we rotate it. So let's pull all of you guys up again. And take a look at our back knees and just watch how well they are able to stay back, how long we can keep them back for. And then once we do see them rotate, that back knee start to rotate, is it a violent rotation? Is there a lot of rotation? Or does it look like there's just very little rotation, or we're struggling to rotate that back knee because of maybe where we landed or where we got our back leg to at our stride? We'll start up here. Okay, so oops. All right, so what we want to think about is, as soon as this leg gets about like 70%, 80% of the way up, we need to think about us getting ourselves going. And we can see that your body doesn't really get going until about after this moment in time. And if we just look and just kind of marked where your head is at, okay, your head is right here. And we'll just kind of put my cursor right here, right where your nose is at. Okay, so here's my cursor. Boom. And now I just bring that cursor down. And boom, you're now back to you're in the same spot in relation from pitching rubber to home plate. Your body is in the same spot it has been from the very beginning of our delivery. Meaning we haven't gained any momentum or direction to our target yet. If we took someone like this and watch as the leg is coming up, we just watch this hip, and we can see that the body is starting to go forward already. The body is just not going straight down, but it's going down and out. He's still got that same type of bend that you do, but we can see how much further his body has been able to travel. He's getting himself out more. His hip is further from the pitching rubber than your hip It's in the pitching rubber. Why is that? Because you've just lifted that leg up and gone down, 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 down. We're not trying to go down an elevator. We're trying to go down an escalator. All right? Not down an elevator, down an escalator. In fact, we can imagine a slide is right here. And the slide goes kind of like this. Boom. Kind of like the slide. That's what we want to think our hips do. And we can see your hips just go down, 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 down. And now they're going to go out, 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 which is not the most powerful way for our body to go and get as far out as we possibly can. We can also see at the front foot strike position, again, boom, front foot strike. We can see that the back foot has not turned over yet. It turns over now, but it's too late. We can see how as it's trying to turn over the big toe is just swooping. That's that moonwalk kind of slide kick behind you. But that's just all potential energy that we just missed out on. So we need to get some momentum going so that way it's easier for our body to want to go further out. Without momentum, all we have is just push, drive. And boom, now we can't rotate, drive that forward. So from the side view, we can just see how much we got to get this lower body to start to rotate. So that way at front foot strike, boom, we got this turned over. We got that kneecap going into the ground. We got that back hip starting to come forward. We got good strong placement with that leg here. Instead of that kneecap being angling this way. We got kneecap angling straight to the target. So that way that knee can just lock out as we throw, instead of that knee having to swivel out, and then the ball's already out of our hand by the time that knee gets strong and stable. We can also see how much our head is trying to whip to the side to help us throw. Why is it whipping to the side? Because it's trying to create energy. Why is it trying to create energy? Because the back leg didn't create any. So because we're at a loss of energy here, the head tries to make up energy by whipping it to the side to try to throw the baseball. We don't want to be looking over at first baseman when we throw. We want our eyes to stay right on our target as we throw. So we can just see from the side view just how much we need to rotate our lower body. It's not just going to happen on its own. We gotta force it to happen, both with the front leg and with the back leg. That'll help us get out more because our back leg will be driving our body more, so we will gain more ground. Our body will be further out, and our front leg will be a little bit further out as well. Next. Okay, so from top of the leg, we can see that your hands separate super early. Your hands are separating. We don't necessarily want our hands to separate until hips start to go out. Or like the leg lift starts to go down. That's when the hands come apart. See, your hands are coming apart so early that the leg lift can't really keep going up. Otherwise, we're going to be way out of whack with our timing. Okay, so we have hands separating early, which then leads to this glove. Watch, this glove is starting... Oops, sorry, my hands are a little sweaty on the trackpad there. Because the hands separated early, watch how quickly this glove wants to start to finish. This glove wants to start to finish. And we haven't even begun to get our body going forward yet, really. And now the glove is finished, and we haven't even gotten our foot down on the ground yet. All right, we watch. That's going to be hard to see from the back view. We watch here. See how the hands are coming out as the leg's going down or as the hips going forward. That's when the hands are coming out. So that way the glove doesn't want to start to finish until now. Right before front foot strike, then the glove starts to finish. Once your glove starts to finish, boom, our body is going to have a very difficult time getting beyond this point here. So you watch when we throw, barely get beyond that point. The further the glove gets out and stays out longer, the longer our body can go, because our body finishes to the glove. So if the glove is here, boom, that's where the body's going to want to finish now. Is right here, right here, right here. Instead of thinking about gaining ground, having that glove be more separating as the hip starts to go forward, allowing that glove to travel a little bit further so that when it does start to finish, look where that front foot's at, a lot closer to hitting the ground. So then the body can keep going out more through our release a little bit better. So anyway, now we're at front foot strike. We can see that our hips haven't really rotated. There's the seam of our pants. The foot looks like it is in a good position, but it hasn't really done its job yet. And its job is to do what? Get that back hip to go forward. Get the back hip to start to go forward. Get the back hip to start to go forward. And the back hip, unfortunately, does not start to go forward until after this foot's already been in the ground. So now we've gotten the back side driven forward. Now we can start to rotate, but we can see how much our upper body has already rotated before that's occurred. So now we're left with just this of a throw, this of a throw, this of a throw, instead of it being all the way back here and then a throw. We can also see that our upper body is not wanting to get out in front and down with the throw. It's wanting to stay relatively tall. So we're getting tall and having a difficult time getting down. Having a little bit of difficulty getting down with the throw. Down with the throw. Down with the throw. It's just a little bit of a difficult task for you because our lower body is not on time. Gloves finishing a little early. That could be affecting our timing of the lower body. So a couple things that we need to be focused on, but most importantly is get that lower body rotated so that these knees don't have to be doing all this swiveling after the foot's already hit the ground. We need to hit that ground and be strong and stable with that front leg. Hitting the ground and being strong and sturdy. Strong and sturdy. Strong and sturdy. Not wobbly. Not hitting the ground and wobbling. So he's got to learn how to rotate our lower body better. All right. We got a good height in that leg lift, but just notice, so we got a good height in the leg lift. Okay. Little aggressive with how much we're getting that kneecap to face second base. Remember, we're just looking for it to be like on a slight angle up, right? On a slight angle up. And that's less than yours, and that's getting relatively on the aggressive side, but it's a good aggressiveness. This is just a little bit beyond that. Okay, so we're not looking to turn our hips. We're just looking to raise our knee on more of an angle. So something to remind yourself of is that. Outside of that, we get ourselves, we can see we're trying to get some momentum. But again, watch how fast this back knee just goes in. If it goes in, it's going to be very difficult to rotate it from this position. A lot easier to rotate it from this position forward than it is to rotate it from this position forward. So we want to think about keeping that back knee back longer as the body goes out, as the body goes out, as the body goes out. We want to keep the back knee back, back knee back. All right. Our glove path, pretty darn smooth. Pretty darn smooth. We can see right here the elbow gets a little bit outside of our body, and that starts to open up our shoulder a little bit. But up until here, fantastic. Now I was just thinking, don't let that elbow get so far outside of our rib cage that it opens the shoulder up a little bit like that. But everything with it here, real good. Arm path, relatively solid. We're going to be able to work with that. It's a little late at front foot strike because at front foot strike, we want it more at this position where we can see the ball better. But why is it, quote unquote, late getting there? And it's because the lower body is late doing its stuff. We can see the front leg is doing a good job. The front leg is doing a good job rotating to that foot strike position. But we can see the back foot hasn't turned over and rotated the back knee, turned over the back foot through the big toe to rotate the back knee to drive the back hip forward until now. Now we're in that great front foot strike position, but again, we can see how much our upper body had to rotate in order to get that lower body into this position here. Excuse me. So now we're just left with less upper, lower half separation, which leads to less power. But all in all, some pretty good movements when we evaluate it from the side view here. We just need to get that back knee to stay back better so we can drive off that back leg better, which will get our body to go further, which will gain more power, and which will ultimately, quote unquote, give us a longer stride, but it's just our body as a whole is further down the mound. So we're close here. We just need a better back knee to help us with a better drive off that back leg. Okay, see from top. Good high leg lift. Okay, our hip is leading the way. We're getting that front hip out and we're sitting into that back hip real well. Okay, the position that you're choosing to do that in is a very, very strong, very, very aggressive position that is going to require a very, very explosive, very, very fast twitch, very, very well equipped to rotate individual. So let's see from this side view, from this really good, strong position, how well can we maintain this strong position? Really good. And now, how well can we drive this really good position to our target? And now we'll know by watching this front leg and we watch where it goes. And we can just see it just kind of opens up, opens up, opens up. There's no real rotating of the leg. Rotating of the leg in the front. There's no real rotating of the leg. Rotating of that front leg. Forward. We're not rotating it forward. We're just opening it up. All right. If you were hitting and your front leg did this, we would say your front leg is opening up. Or you're stepping in the bucket. I don't know if that's a saying anymore. That was when I was a kid. Okay, but you'd be striding towards your third base coach. It's not what we're looking to do when we hit. It's definitely not what we're looking to do when we pitch. We need to keep this foot going to our target from this moment on in a straight to our target manner. In a straight to our target manner, and we rotate it straight to our target with that front leg. So we can see we're in a good, strong position still on this backside leg, but we don't drive it to our target. We just let that front leg open up, and now our backside has done nothing besides have that heel come off. Our backside doesn't do anything until now, but now is just way too late. Ball is next to out of your hand by the time that lower body gets into a really good position. So what we got to think about is getting ourselves into this type of position and then learning how to drive and accelerate ourselves forward and not just have this front leg swoop open and make a throw from there, because we have a lot of good potential coming from this position here. A lot of good power potential, energy production, and keeping the arm stress-free. It's just a matter of you learning how to drive and move your body from this type of position. Christianson. All right. So pause that, take it back to the top. Okay. So from the top of that leg lift, we can see that slight little hunch that we were kind of talking about from the front view, but you hold it pretty well. That angle in your upper body that you kind of have here gets held real well. And we come through. Okay, but what we want to think about is this arm path. Okay, and when the ball falls out of our glove, how quickly the hand wants to get above the elbow. And now this is going to cause our arm to drag. And most importantly, it's going to have our, I was going to say reduce, but it completely eliminates our arm's ability to be whippy. So as we just watch this arm now, how it's going to be up in that 90-degree angle-ish position that we look at front foot strike, that we look to get at front foot strike, at front foot strike, okay, we're already there. So now the arm is just going to drag as it comes through. It's just going to drag as it comes through, which is not good for the arm's health. We want to instead see more of the arm coming from beneath the elbow. And then right before the foot hits the ground, now the hand flips up, so then the arm can lay back, so then it can come through. All right. We're looking for more of the arm to be down in this type of position here. So then as it flips up, as the foot hits the ground, it can lay back and then be thrown forward in a nice whippy manner. Same thing here. That arm, that hand is more underneath the elbow until we get very close to that front foot strike, as our shoulders are pinching together, our elbows are pinching together, our scap pinch. That's when the hand begins to flip up right at front foot strike, so then it can continue to rotate through a nice whippy arm versus a up already, and now I got to drag it through, and that puts a lot of stress on the elbow to have to now drag this through and try to get it back out in front. All right, so we're going to want to be doing arm path drills. We want to be doing arm path drills to get this throwing arm cleaned up. And then it's also thinking about that lower half, getting things turned over a little bit more on time. So then everything that we do at here already good, really good, can be applied. So arm path cleaned up. And we can see that arm path with these guys here. Ball falls out of the glove. Hand stays beneath that elbow through that Scap pinch when the shoulders are pinching backwards or the elbows are pinching together or our scapular muscles are pinching together. Then it comes up at front foot strike, so then it can whip through. Ball falls out of the glove and stays beneath the elbow until we scap pinch. And then as the foot's hitting the ground, then it comes up, so then it can lay back and whip through. Ball falls out of the glove. Ball falls out of the glove. And then when the hand gets above the elbow, it's right before the foot hits. Then we're in the ground. Ball's above the elbow. And then we rotate to be able to continue that whip with the arm. So that's a big thing that we want to square away just for our arm's health. Okay, we don't want to be the guy who's starting to get sore arms towards the end of games, or the guy who's having to take time off of practice towards the end of the season, or a guy that can't pitch anymore but can only play the field towards the end of the season. We just want to make sure that that arm becomes whippy and not draggy. And then last but not least, I'll get you from the top. We see that good momentum starting in the hips, good momentum starting to go to our target, so we're gaining ground. We do a pretty darn good job of keeping that back knee back. Doing a pretty good, darn good job keeping that back knee back. Now we can't keep it back no more, so now it's time to rotate and drive it in and drive through that big toe. You see the knees going. You can see the knees going, but the foot's not quite getting involved until now it's starting and the foot's in the ground. Now it's starting and the foot's already in the ground. Now that back hip is starting to come through. That back hip is starting to come through, but again, it's a little too late. And that just reduces our ability to get that ball out in front and down in a good trunk position. We're more tall as we're releasing that ball, opposed to out in front as we're releasing that ball, as to out in front when we're releasing that ball. Between those two frames there, we can just see that angle of his trunk. Again, that trunk is from the hips to the shoulders. This part of our body here we call our trunk. The trunk is being accelerated out in front. We're not just rotating it side to side. We're rotating it forward. We're rotating our trunk to our target. And not just to our target, but down through our target. Okay? Rotating those shoulders not side to side, but to our target. And not just rotating to our target, but down through our target. All right, we're not just rotating side to side, we're rotating forward. And not just rotating forward, but rotating down as we go through forward. And that would be able to be accomplished if the back hip got through better at front foot strike. And it'll get through better at front foot strike once this back foot can turn over more. We can see how that back hip came through more. Well, how's that back foot going to come through more on time? Well, it's got to start going like now. We can see it doesn't start to go until now. So we just got to feel ourselves driving off of that rubber a little bit earlier. We got to think, I'm driving so aggressively off this rubber that if this bucket wasn't here, the whole pitching mound here would just kick out from underneath you. Kick out from underneath you. Why? Because you're applying so much force into that rubber this way to get your body to go this way that it would move behind you. You're driving so aggressively, so hard, so much off that foot. So we do a good job of keeping that knee back, and we keep that knee back so that way we can drive ourselves more aggressively. But in order to do that, we need to start doing that drive now, so that way we have time to finish it. We can also see how that toe is hitting first, that toe is hitting first, that toe is hitting first. It's because your body is expecting this foot not to land here, but to be a little bit further out. And when it goes a little bit further out, it would land a little bit better connected with the ground all at once instead of toe, then heel. So again, another guy, just we get into a good power position. It's just now being in a position that looks like this and learning how to drive off that back foot, learning how to drive through that big toe to gain ground, not just with the body. You do that well with the body, but then to gain ground with that back hip to the target, which starts but doesn't really get to where we want it until after. And by the time we get it there, we can see how the upper body has had to rotate a bit to get there. So now we have less upper, lower body separation. Belt buckle going one way, chest staying in the same way it has been. We're very close. Very close. But now we can see from all these side views just how much we need to use our back leg to help drive our bodies out more, drive more power out. And then we can see from the side views here, when we land, how much that front knee has to swivel out and before it's able to stabilize to help us deliver our power out in front. And the sooner that we can stabilize that knee, the sooner we can lock it out. And the sooner we can lock it out, the easier we're sending our energy out in front and down.